Fortunately for Andra, he lived in a remote part of Siberia with a forest right behind his house. Slipping on his boots and grabbing his thickest coat, he stepped outside, ready for his usual walk. He followed a clear footpath, one trodden by many before him and destined to be followed by many more. Andra's visits to the woods were frequent, and his journey typically routine. But today, he decided to try something different. Veering left, he took a path he had never seen before. The trees in this new area were broader and taller, with only slivers of sunlight breaking through the dense canopy. Suddenly, Andra heard an unusual sound. Though faint, it was unmistakably a cry for help. He followed the sound, and it didn't take long to find its source. Curled up against a tree was a baby animal, a puppy, eyes closed, and no more than a few weeks old. The sight of the helpless creature abandoned in the forest broke Andrew's heart. He stepped closer, arms outstretched, and gently picked up the shivering pup. Holding it close, he hoped his gloved hands would provide some warmth. Without hesitation, Andrew rushed home, driven by a gut feeling that this was one of the most important things he would ever do. Arriving back at his house, he quickly fetched blankets and wrapped the ice-cold puppy. He turned on the heating and brought some water. After a few minutes in Andrew's care, the puppy stopped shivering and already seemed in a better state. Andrew called the local vet to arrange a checkup, determined to ensure the puppy was healthy. Though he had known the pup for only a few hours, Andrew felt a deep connection and knew they were destined to become close. Trusting his instincts, he adopted the stray and named him Akela. Over the next few months, Akela grew rapidly. Andrew noted that his new pet had a big appetite, which had been evident since their first meeting. Akela's hunger only increased with time. Understanding that young animals need lots of nutrients, Andrew made sure Akela fed regularly to sustain his energy and weight. Yet, Akela's eating habits continued to surprise Andrew. As the puppy grew bigger, his facial features sharpened and his body widened. One persistent mystery gnawed at Andrew: Akela's breed. He had never seen a dog like Akela before, and his curiosity grew as time passed. Andrew's life took on a new rhythm with Akela. The once solitary walks in the forest now had a joyful companion. Akela loved exploring, and Andrew enjoyed watching the pup's playful curiosity. They developed a routine: early morning walks, afternoon play sessions, and quiet evenings by the fire. The bond between them strengthened with each passing day. One day, while on their usual walk, Andrew noticed something different about Akela's behavior. The pup seemed more alert, ears pricked, and eyes focused. Intrigued, Andrew followed Akela's lead. They ventured deeper into the forest, farther than they had ever gone before. Akela's pace quickened, and Andrew struggled to keep up. Eventually, they reached a clearing Andrew had never seen. In the middle of the clearing stood an old, weathered cabin. The sight of it startled Andrew. He hadn't known of its existence. Akela approached the cabin cautiously, sniffing around its perimeter. Andrew, equally curious, followed. Pushing open the creaky door, he stepped inside. The cabin was sparsely furnished, with dust-covered furniture and cobwebs in every corner. It looked like it had been abandoned for years. As Andrew explored, he stumbled upon a small wooden box tucked away in a corner. Inside, he found old photographs and letters. The photos depicted a man with a dog that looked remarkably like Akela. The letters, though faded, told a story of a man who had lived in the cabin many years ago, accompanied by his loyal canine companion. The discovery deepened the mystery of Akela's origins. Andrew wondered if Akela was a descendant of the dog in the photos. He decided to research the history of the cabin and its former inhabitant. His investigation led him to local archives, where he uncovered the story of a man named Victor, who had lived in the cabin with his dog, Loki. Victor had been a recluse, much like Andrew, and had passed away decades ago. Loki had been a rare breed, known for their loyalty and strength. Andrew's discovery added a new layer to his bond with Akela. He felt a sense of destiny, believing that Akela was meant to find him. The pup's presence in his life seemed more significant than ever. Andra continued to care for Akela, ensuring he had everything he needed to thrive. As time went on, Akela grew into a strong, majestic dog. His unique appearance drew attention from neighbors and passersby. Andra took pride in his companion, sharing the story of their fateful meeting and the mysterious cabin in the woods. Akela became a beloved member of the community, known for his gentle nature and protective instincts. Andra often reflected on the day he had found Akela in the forest. He realized that taking that unknown path had changed his life in ways he could never have imagined. The bond he shared with Akela brought him immense joy and a sense of purpose. They continued their adventures together, exploring new paths and making new discoveries. Andra's life, once solitary and predictable, had become rich with companionship and love. He cherished every moment with Akela, grateful for the twist of fate that had brought them together. The forest, once a place of routine walks, had become a symbol of their extraordinary journey. And every night, as he looked into Akela's eyes, he knew that their bond was unbreakable, forged by the serendipitous encounter that had changed both their lives forever. Andra had many friends who were dog owners, so he turned to them with his burning question about Akela's breed. Unfortunately, they were just as baffled as he was. Figuring out the specific breed of his pet became an impossible challenge. Finally, Andra decided to consult an animal expert. The expert requested an in-person meeting to properly identify Akela. Soon after, Andra and Akela were in the car, heading towards the expert's location. Andra walked into the practice with Akela on a leash. After speaking to the receptionist, he was directed to the expert's room. As he walked in, the expert's jaw dropped. She couldn't believe her eyes. Andra had spent all this time thinking he was raising a puppy, only to discover that Akela was not a dog. Akela was a wolf, specifically a Eurasian gray wolf, the largest canine species on Earth. Wolf cubs and puppies share many resemblances, so it was natural for Andra to make that mistake. However, as Akela grew older, it became undeniable that he was a gray wolf. The animal expert explained that the size difference was a key indicator. After learning the true species of his pet, Andra had to consider Akela's well-being. The idea of keeping a wolf intrigued many, and news of Akela reached the local zookeepers. They bombarded Andra with phone calls and emails, trying to convince him to send Akela to the zoo. Andra was reluctant to give up his friend to a zoo, having heard stories about them. Releasing Akela back into the wild was another option people suggested, fearing for the safety of Andra and his neighborhood. However, Andra was unsure about this, as there was no guarantee that Akela would be safe in the woods. He remembered the first day he met the wolf cub, abandoned and alone. Despite arguments that releasing Akela was the most ethical choice, Andra believed otherwise. The best choice seemed clear. Akela had already spent so much time with Andra and adapted to his new lifestyle. It only made sense to let the wolf stay with him. Andra had taken ownership of Akela and didn't feel right giving him up. Initially, Andre's family was hesitant about his choice to raise a wolf. Wild animals, especially wolves, can be unpredictable and are often feared for their carnivorous nature and strength. However, in the time Andra had known Akela, the wolf had never shown any aggression towards humans. Andra felt there was nothing to fear. Akela behaved just like a domesticated dog. Over a year and a half had passed since Andra adopted Akela, and they had become inseparable. Andra chose to follow his heart instead of listening to the judgments of others. Eventually, his friends and family fully supported his decision. Andra was grateful he had found Akela, and Akela was grateful to have been found. To this day, they live together in Andra's Siberian home, as happy as can be. The relationship Andra formed with Akela inspired him to help other wild animals in need. He created several wildlife sanctuaries across Russia where gray wolves and other canines like foxes and coyotes could live safely. These sanctuaries have grown in popularity, and many animals now rest there. Andrew's work has saved the lives of countless creatures. To raise awareness and sympathy for wild canines, Andrew turned to social media to share his experiences. Andrew's dedication to Aquila and his mission to protect other wild animals have made a significant impact, highlighting the importance of compassion and understanding for all living beings.